We have some breaking news now as we go back to the UK, and that vote that we told you about has just come down, and it's another loss for Boris Johnson. The UK Parliament moments ago voted, and it was not close, voted against holding an early election on the 15th of October, something that Johnson had called for. The vote, 298 to 56. And remember, as Nile Gardiner rejoins us now, told us it needed a two-thirds majority in favor, Nile, and boy, this is another loss for Boris Johnson. I'm going to rewind to what you and I were talking about before the vote happened and to where we go from here. If I remember correctly, now this big vote in the House of Lords will decide whether or not Brexit is delayed, and they need to get that in by when, you were saying?
Yes, I think the Lords needs to basically approve the House of Commons bill by Friday. I believe by Friday at 10 a.m. is the deadline, and so the Conservative Party's or Conservative government's filibuster may actually succeed in preventing this from happening, but that remains to be seen. That's a very big if. Certainly not a good result for Boris Johnson. The Labour Party instructed its members of Parliament to abstain. And this is a demonstration of the fact that the Labour Party, the main opposition, they are running scared from a general election because the polls show the Conservatives would win a significant majority in a general election. And that's why the Labour Party is not prepared to go before the polls here, because they are afraid of what the voters will say. And it's very clear, I think, that British voters have had enough of Parliament trying to delay Brexit and stop Brexit.
Right, which I'm sure from your point of view, as I said earlier, you've been someone who's been telling us over and over, this is going to be okay, essentially, if we go through with this leaving of the EU on the UK's part. So from someone, looks at it from that point of view, rejecting what the voters have said is becoming sort of a pattern, right? I mean, that's what we saw, or what we're seeing this week from, the so-called elites, it's been said, fighting back against the people who voted to leave.
Yeah, this is fundamentally undemocratic by Britain's Parliament. The British people voted to leave the European Union in June 2016, 17.4 million people. They instructed Parliament to ensure that Britain leaves the European Union. Parliament has simply not done that and has defied the will of the British people here. And so Parliament has one goal at the moment, and that's to derail Brexit. And the government is trying all it possibly can to implement Brexit on October the 31st, and Parliament is knifing the British people in the back here as an absolute disgrace. They're
doing their best to hold it off, at least for a few months. Well, they would say to try to get a deal in place, but we'll follow it, especially that House of Lords vote that you talked about, to see. That seems to be the next big thing. Nile, great analysis as always. It's good to see you. Thanks for coming on.